In this video, I will be talking about your actor's headshot and what it should generally look like and some ways you can save money and take them yourself. Hi, I'm Nia. I'm an actor and a writer, and I have a BFA in Performing Arts from SCAD and a minor in creative writing. I'll be using some of my headshots as examples of what to do and what not to do, and also I would like to note that all the rules that I'm gonna go over are just rules of thumb, and they're completely arbitrary and are constantly changing, and not everyone is gonna follow or agree with all of the rules, and that's perfectly fine. These are just what generally I found out from my experience, so here we go. So your background should be as non-distracting as possible. This would not be a fantastic background for a headshot. You want anyone looking at your headshot to be looking at you, and you want to be the focus of it. So you want your background to be empty or blank. Textures are fine as long as they're not super distracting. It can be hard to find all of these things sometimes, especially if you're doing this by yourself and you're just looking for locations to do it. But if you don't have a backdrop, even sometimes when you do have a backdrop, you should blur your background to minimize any distractions that you do have and keep yourself the focal point. The camera should be slightly above you, not too high, but you don't want it too low because then you get weird low angles. I like to place my camera just above my head, but also whenever I'm taking headshots, my camera tends to be close to me, so you'll need to adjust depending on how far or close your camera is to you when you're taking your pictures, but you definitely want it to be a little bit above your height. You should be centered in the frame. It doesn't matter if you're standing straight on or you're slightly angled in your headshot. You want to be in the middle of whatever the photo frame is. You should also fill the frame, and by this I mean there shouldn't be a bunch of negative space. So for example, in this video there's a bunch of negative space besides me, but if I came in really close, now there's like way less negative space. But also this is landscape, so but if I were portrait, then it would be fine. But anyways, you want to take up as much space in the frame as possible. Don't cut off parts of your head. This one some people don't really care about. This is one of the like looser rules. But yeah, generally you don't want to cut off any part of your head. I've seen a lot of headshots where people like right in the corner of the frame, and they're like part of their forehead is cut off or part of the side of their face is cut off. Yeah, you should not do that unless you were specifically told to by an agent or a casting. Not even then. Anything that's attached to your head, your hair, none of it should be cut off in the frame. Well, hair is where you can get a little bit more leeway. Like my hair goes up pretty big sometimes, so maybe I want to cut off the top, but I don't like to cut off my hair at all. I like to be all inside the frame. Have good lighting. If you need to get all the lamps in your house and point them at you while you're taking your headshots, do it. Also, natural lighting is the best lighting. If there's somewhere with a bunch of windows, or if you take your pictures outside, like to get that natural lighting is a fantastic place. I have 2 windows in my bedroom, and whenever I take headshots or if I am filming a self-tape for an audition, I like to wait for the time when I know the sun is going to be coming through those windows, because that lighting is going to be fantastic and it's going to make you look great. If you can't use windows, a 3-point lighting system is also good. That's when you have 2 lights coming on you and 1 above that gets rid of any shadows that are behind you, and you're lit from all directions. You have to have a camera with good resolution. Every headshot I've ever used for the past like 5 years, I've taken it on my cell phone, and that's a great place to do it because cell phones have fantastic resolution, and you don't need to go out and buy like a camera that's like thousands of dollars or rent a camera that's thousands of dollars. You can do it on your phone, or you can borrow a friend's phone if they're cool and take your pictures on there. If you're using a backdrop for your photos, you don't want your backdrop to be black or white. If for whatever reason those are the only two options you have, aim for the white backdrop because you will stand out from it. Whereas the black backdrop, if you have dark hair or darker features, you would need a lot more light so that you stand out from the dark background. For backdrops and backgrounds in general, you want neutral colors. Grays are a great choice for backdrops. Like this is a nice gray to use. You could also do like light blues, any neutrals. Neutrals are your go-to color palette. If you do choose a color, like I've seen people who've had purple backdrops before, you want the color to be subtle and something that you will still stand out against. Be conscious of what you're wearing. Whatever you're wearing projects a certain type or vibe of the type of character you might be able to play. So you want to keep that in mind when you're choosing your outfits for your headshot. You also want to wear solid colors. You shouldn't have any patterns or logos or text on anything because that can be distracting, and that's not what the headshot is for. The headshot is so that they can see what you look like. Your accessories like earrings, necklaces, watches, bracelets, whatever that you have should be minimal and subtle because again, you don't want them to be distracting. The whole like overall message of a headshot is that you don't want anything to distract from your face. Makeup. So your makeup should be natural. You should look like you, just slightly enhanced. Like I have a little bit of makeup on, but I still look exactly like I would. Like if I wasn't wearing any makeup, you wouldn't think I look like a whole complete different person. You should never lie about your appearance in your headshot to try to make yourself look different, because if you get called in, the powers that be will find out that you lied because you're gonna come in person and you're not gonna look like your picture. So you're just wasting everyone's time then if you do that, and you'll stop being called in. Your framing of like how much of your body should be in the photo should be somewhere between like your waist to your head to like your shoulders to your head. Somewhere in that range. Your face needs to be seen and is the most important part, but people also want to get a feel of what your body might look like and what kind of body type you have. So part of your body should be in it. So it could just be this, your collarbone up. You could do like a medium shot that's just like mid-chest to the top of your head. But you shouldn't really have any like part of your body that's lower than your waist in the frame of the photo, because then that's like too much. Also, your headshot shouldn't literally be like just your head. Like you need to have some more being shown. Yeah. Like I said before, these rules are not the law. You won't like not get a job because you're like off center in your headshot, okay? These are just some guidelines that may work for you, some may not. Some you might agree with, some you won't. That's fine. These are just generalized rules of thumb for what your headshot should be. And I've definitely seen headshots where people have broken a lot of these rules and they look amazing, but that's not something everyone is going to be able to get away with. So you want your headshot to be as pleasing to as many people as possible. And once again, your headshot should look like you, but you should also have some headshots of different flavors of you. By that I mean, take myself for example. I could play like young adult, college student, high school, like I could do that. So if I had a headshot for that, I would make myself look younger by dressing a certain way that makes you think, oh, she could play junior in high school. But I could also dress in like a button down and a blazer, and you might look at that picture and think, a young professional, this person could play a law student or someone's assistant in a corporate office or something like that. So you can tailor your look to fit the like things that you would most likely be cast as. And I don't mean wear a costume, that's not what I mean. I mean you're just dressing in the essence of a character type. And you can do things like that, and then you can send out headshots according to the role that you're auditioning for. And you don't need a million headshots, you only need like 3 or 4 different looks that you can send out. No. Okay, so here is my first example of an old headshot. This is an example of a textured background. There's the gray brick, which it's like perfectly fine, it's not distracting, and it adds like something to the background, so it's not just very like flat, because maybe you don't like that, and that's fine. I've also seen people who have taken headshots in front of trees, and they'll have the tree bark as their texture, and then they just slightly blur it depending on how harsh of a texture it is. However, what's wrong with this headshot is that the camera angle is too low. When I took these, my tripod was shorter than me, and so the angle was off. But that was all I could do at the time, and I used this headshot for like a year or something like that, and it was fine. I didn't lose any. It looks like me. You can tell what I look like from the picture. It just has a low angle. So this next headshot is another example of having a bad background. I took this outside of my dorm building, and there's like AC units and trees and the brick wall and a parking lot, and I just maneuvered myself to hide as much as I could, and I blurred the background a whole bunch so that I was the focus of the photo, and I look like myself. And so this next headshot, this one is okay. I've been told that I'm too smiley and too bright looking in this photo, which I agree. I'm very like, I'm smiling very hard, and it doesn't help that I'm wearing this bright yellow dress. But there are a couple of things wrong with this photo. One, it's too narrow. Your headshot should be it should fill the page as much as possible of like a regular like 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 10. Those are like the most common ratios. I usually do 8.5 by 11, and my headshot will take up the 8.5 by 10 space, and then I put my name at the bottom. But yeah, so the photo is very narrow, so there's a bunch of space on either side of me. Also, I look like me, but there's also something a little bit off about it, and that's because when I took these photos, I had like hella dark circles, and when I was touching them up, I over edited the photos, and it just looked like too perfect. But I went back and fixed that so I look like myself, and I took that out. But it was the first time I had done that, and I learned, and we're good. So this headshot is my current headshot that I use right now. It's the one that's on the homepage of my website. Nope, that was it. I took this headshot a couple of months ago in like April or May of 2020, and I made sure that I slept well so that I didn't have dark circles under my eyes, and I'm centered in the frame. I'm wearing a color and a top that complement me. My background is plain. It's not white, it's like a very light gray. I have good resolution and I have good lighting. The only editing I had to do was to brighten the picture up slightly, because even though I had good lighting, it still came out a little dark. So these are some tools that you'll need to take your headshots DIY. A camera. Your phone is probably fine, or your friend's phone. Always use the back camera because it has a higher resolution, so the photo will come out better and it'll have a better quality. It might take some like trial and error to figure out where to line up, but once you know where to stand and everything, mark your spot with tape so that you know exactly where to go each time you need to take the picture. You need a tripod that can get taller than you, and you can like set your phone in a lot of different things and like lean it against stuff to take your picture, but I think a tripod is the best because one, you can maneuver it to the angles that you need, and you also have the freedom to set your tripod anywhere you need it to go. You're probably gonna need a ring light. I have a ring light that I'm using right now. I use it to take my headshot where I had the red shirt on, and I used it to take the headshot where I had the yellow dress on. There are also ring lights that have tripods, and they're like a 2-in-1, and you can find those and get them for like a pretty reasonable price. You need lighting in general, whether it's from the windows or lamps or the lights overhead built into the ceiling. Maybe you have like people pointing phone lights at you, like whatever you can do to give yourself as much lighting as possible. Some sort of background or backdrop. If you have a bed sheet that's the correct color, you could iron it or steam it and then hang it up somewhere and take your headshots in front of that. You could use that as your backdrop in general, and whenever you have auditions, you iron or steam it and hang it up or pin it to the wall or something, and you can just use that for all the time. You can also buy one, they're pretty cheap, a Bluetooth remote, so that you don't have to try and make sure you're in your correct spot before the camera timer that's on your camera runs out. If you have the remote, you can just click it and you can take as many pictures as you want, and then you can go back and check and see like, okay. Also, it makes the process go a whole lot faster if you don't have to click the thing to set the timer, race back to your spot, get in your position, and then you wait, and then it clicks, and you have to keep doing that. You could just be in your position, click, 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 try different things, click, 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 and then go over them and see like, okay, well, I like this pose, this didn't work, this did work, all right, let's do this again. There you go, Bluetooth remote, fantastic. Hi, this is Editing Nia. I realized I did not film an outro for this video, so here it is. Thank you for watching. If you're interested, you can check out more of my videos. You can also hop over to my website where I post companion articles to some of my videos. I also post movie and book reviews, bullet journal entries, personal essays, short stories, whatever else I feel like putting on there. You can follow me and or my cats, here is Schroeder, on Instagram. Thank you for watching. Have a great day or night or whenever it is you're watching this. Bye.